I'm Chris. Thanks for watching. It's December. We are well immersed into the fantasy playoffs for 2019, and you know that I reserve the right to change my mind once we get through free agency in 2020, the draft in 2020, all the other stuff that's going to change our opinions for 2020. But just so we can keep everybody interested and involved here at the end of the season, I thought it would be fun to count down what I can imagine my top 10 running backs for 2020 looking like. Now, before we get going, I want to ask you to do me a favor right now. Please subscribe to this channel. I know you don't think it's a big deal. It actually really is a big deal. It helps us out a lot. The absolute best way you can make sure that this channel sticks around throughout 2020, even in the offseason, is by hitting that subscribe button right now. Please do it. Okay, at number 10 among running backs, I have the guy who was the fantasy MVP in both 2016 and 2017 and who entered 2018 with big health questions. It's Todd Gurley. I'm going to prepare you right now. I don't have Derrick Henry on this list. He'd probably be number 11. I know how mad that makes people. You can hit us up down in the comments. You can berate me. I think the past couple of weeks for Gurley has proven when his offensive line is good, he himself is still very good. He's working on 10 touchdowns through 13 weeks, which is a come down from 19 and 21 the past 2 years, but it's not shabby. The Rams do have real questions on the offensive line. It's the biggest problem all year, but they have shown improvement. They certainly know they need to work on it. They've ditched 4 of their starters over the course of the year, and Gurley has shown legit signs of life as a result. I know what the stats say. I know how great Henry has been for fantasy this year. I'm still a little bit of a doubter. We'll do another video on that this offseason. He's my number 11. Gurley is my number 10. At number 9, listen, if you need further proof that this list is fluid, here's Joe Mixon, who was number 7 on my list for 2019, who I think by now you know I'm a very big fan of on the field, and who, since week 10, is the RB3 in standard, RB4 in PPR. Our goal going into any new year should be to try and de-emphasize situation as much as we possibly can. Things change. Think of all the suppositions people were wrong about heading into this year, about how sure we were what these teams would be like strategically. And then think of all the stuff that's changed during the season. For the first 2 months, the Bengals couldn't block you and me. But over the past 6 weeks, they've figured something out. And Mixon has had more room to breathe, to make moves, to be decisive, and get some momentum going, and prove that he's simply one of the most talented backs in the league. It's absolutely on the table that the Bengals could stink again in 2020. We can't completely ignore they'll probably be playing with a rookie quarterback in the middle of a rebuild. But I'll try and de-emphasize that as much as possible and rely on Mixon just being a very good player. Number 8 for me is Aaron Jones. I have him as my number 12 overall player at the moment for 2020, completely accepting the fact that 15 touchdowns in 13 games almost certainly will not happen for him again next year. There are no doubt some red flags for Jones. Potential end zone regression, the fact that he's never won the starting job outright from Jamal Williams, instead mostly splits snaps week by week, watching Williams play in most pass protection situations. You know, Jones is rarely a good bet to get more than a dozen carries in a week because Williams always gets some too, and yet, once again, that's all situational stuff, and we don't know for sure that'll be the same in 20. Instead, I want to focus on what he is as a player. He's not big, but he's not small. His running style reminds me a little bit of someone else who's about to appear on this list. He's just sturdy and strong, clearly someone who can break arm tackles and accelerate so quickly. He doesn't have amazing top-end speed, but as a slasher, he's really in full bloom. Plus, he proved this year that some of the receiving ability he flashed running real and actual routes toward the end of 2018 have manifested. It's possible I will talk myself out of this high a rank. It would be better if he got a higher work share, but I do like Aaron Jones an awful lot as a player. It's gift-giving time, but what about a gift for yourself? The gift of an Audible membership. For a limited time, Audible is offering more than half off your first 3 months. Access an unbeatable selection of audiobooks, including, for example, one of my 4 novels that I've written and read, available on Audible right now. You can choose 3 titles every month, 1 audiobook and 2 exclusive Audible originals you can't hear anywhere else. It's great while commuting, at the gym, during your holiday travels. Right now, for a limited time, you can get 3 months of Audible for just $6.95 a month. That's more than half off the regular price. Give yourself the gift of listening. For more, go to audible.com/HarrisTube or text HarrisTube to 500-500. Okay, let's get back into it. At number 7, you're not going to be surprised to hear I have Josh Jacobs, rookie Raiders running back. Stylistically, he's the one I was referring to when I mentioned Aaron Jones. I think they kind of look like peas in a pod a fair amount of the time. My love for the jacked gerbils overall game is by now well known. He reminds me of early career Doug Martin. The difference between him and Jones being that Jacobs has a little more power to him, a little more oomph, and as a result, a little more of a power tackle breaker. I'm not worried that they haven't thrown it to him much yet. We don't know that won't come next season. Could very well. And frankly, there just aren't many guys who are full-time backs anyway. You can look elsewhere on this channel for my many breakdowns of Josh Jacobs' film. He's special. I think he's a clear first-round pick next year. Next up at number 6, I have Alvin Kamara. Let's face it, the only way to have Kamara even this high is to proclaim that he's never really been healthy after the high ankle sprain that took him out of commission for the better part of a month. He's certainly been one of the busts of the season because he only has a touchdown in one single game this year. But it's been unlucky. Even as recently as this week against the Niners, he was tackled at the 1-inch line. I think it's fair to believe he hasn't been himself since the injury, and then you take the bad touchdown luck that sort of exacerbated his issues. You don't find guys this slippery and powerful with this kind of initial burst and long speed. He's a beast who some folks defensively thought should be number 1 overall this year. He was the RB4 in each of his first 2 seasons. You're not going to get me to say anything bad about the bitchin' Kamara other than it hasn't been awesome this year, especially the past month since he's come back. I'm going to assume the full body of his work from his first 2 seasons is more representative than this time that he was playing on a high ankle sprain. At number 5, I have Nick Chubb, who popped on the tape from the first moments of his rookie year when he was bursting the occasional carry to the house at 230 pounds. He's decisive, he accelerates. He doesn't have lightning lateral moves, but he's not sluggish. Plus, he has everything a pure power back should also have. He can run around you, but he sure can run through you. I just don't think I'm going to get a lot of argument about this rank. The Browns, they've been disappointing. They've been something of a mess. Plus, Kareem Hunt's return has been a problem for Chubb these past few weeks, but I'm assuming that Hunt winds up somewhere else as a free agent in 2020. And that Chubb will probably be paired with a lesser third down back. He will continue his assault on opposing defenses. You just don't find this combo of power, acceleration, and relative shiftiness too many other places. At number 4, I have Dalvin Cook, his third season proving to be the charm. I think even the biggest Dalvin doubters after his torn ACL his rookie year would have conceded that all the fretting people did over him at the combine, oh no, his 3-cone time wasn't good, looked mighty silly when we actually saw him in an NFL uniform. The hedge that we all made in 2019 was that Cook had not been healthy in more than a year. He looked pretty sluggish the season after his major surgery, and maybe not a great bet to stay healthy ever. Instead, 13 touchdowns, already over 1,100 yards rushing, and more important than numbers is just how he looks doing it. Maybe the greatest current accelerator in the game at the position. He's 0 to 60 so fast that he doesn't need dancing skills to put defenders on the defensive. Instead of Shady McCoy going left, right, left, Cook gets north-south incredibly quickly, and then his move while on the dead run tends to be like one vector adjustment, and he's gone, leaving vapor trails behind him. Plenty fast, plenty strong, just a really good player, and healthy. Dalvin Cook is a top 5 overall pick. At number 3, I took Zeke Elliot. There's really nothing I can see that's any different when I watch Elliott play this year. If Nick Chubb has surprising acceleration for his size, Zeke's is astounding. 230 pounds of monster who can run you over, who can find a gap and go, who makes moves. He's close to the perfect running back. But I guess if we're breaking ties among the very elite options, you say, all right, well, one of his advantages has very clearly been a super elite offensive line, and they've probably not quite been as good as they've been in the past, and they could have defections this offseason. And the truly massive games haven't been there in 2019 the way they've been there in the past. Did the contract holdout stop him in September? I don't know. I didn't feel like it. To me, I don't know. I didn't see anything skills-wise from him that looked different. I just see the results, fewer long plays, which probably just works out being unlucky. He's on pace for 1,700-plus scrimmage yards. He's still great. Honestly, if you ranked him as your number one overall player for 2020, I would not argue. Prepare to be annoyed. I have this year's no doubt fantasy MVP, the most reliable running back going, Christian McCaffrey. I have him at number 2. He's already taken his wildly impressive 2018 campaign. He's already upped the ante. He's going well over 2,000 scrimmage yards. He's already got 16 total touchdowns, probably on his way to 20. The end zone trips have slowed a little bit over the past month. I think that's probably been a little bit unlucky. McCaffrey is everything to Carolina's offense. And while in the long term, I think that's terrible planning, no matter how many weight room photos we get, McCaffrey's still a small guy who gets utterly thumped by people more than 100 pounds heavier on a regular basis. Really does not have any way to beat you with power. His career would, in my opinion, be best suited to finding a bigger dude that he can alternate more with, and maybe Carolina's new coach will do that, not to waste Christian McCaffrey's best years on a rebuild. But the fact is, when it comes to everything else you want your running back to do, everything other than power, there's nobody better right now. He's probably the current quickest running back in the league. He's got the Barry Sanders thing. He's got the LaShawn McCoy thing. The cutting ability is simply staggering. His acceleration is great. His long speed, it's not the best in the league, but it's plenty fast. And he's just one of the great receiving backs probably in the history of the league. Most people are going to have him as their no-brainer number 1. I have him number 2 because I have Saquon Barkley at number 1. Which again, go ahead, let me have it down in the comments. What a moron. Don't I even look at the numbers? Don't I know that Barkley has been one of the busts of the year? I told everybody to take him number 1 this year, and look how that turned out. Don't I know the Giants are unstable, and their offensive line stinks, and the situation just isn't good enough? And that's true for this year. But the fact is, I don't know that for 2020. Like I say, I try to de-emphasize all past season stuff as much as possible. You can't completely erase it, but as much as possible, because so much changes year to year in the NFL. I want to pay the most attention to talent. As with Kamara, I think it's pretty obvious the high ankle sprain has been the root cause of Barkley's pedestrian season. He was never going to be on pace to compete with McCaffrey this year. That is true. And his situation did turn out to be pretty garbage this year. But Barkley can do almost everything McCaffrey can do, and do it at 230 pounds as a total wrecking ball. I think we've seen a pale imitation of him the past 2 months. Don't forget, he got hurt in week 3. I believe in him so much. I think he bounces back. I think he wrecks the league next year. But if you don't agree, that's okay. There's plenty of time to mull this stuff over. Feel free to let me have it down in the comments. And thanks for watching. Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please smash that like button, write a comment, tell us who else you'd like to see us review film on, and of course, best of all, please subscribe to our channel and then click that little bell above the subscribe button and you'll be notified whenever we post a new video.